I want to introduce the host of today and tomorrow, Ints Teterovskis. I hope I'm saying it correctly. He's one of the best choir conductors in Latvia. He's a very creative person, I heard, and he gives over 70 concerts every year, and not within a concert hall, but at riversides, in trains, abandoned churches. I don't know about you guys, but I want to go sometime. So maybe when we can travel again, we can all visit one of his concerts because it sounds amazing. He's the director of the award-winning Latvian Youth Choir, and he has been a principal conductor for the Latvian National Song Celebrations since 2008. So it's an honor to have you here, and I want to welcome you and give the floor to you, Ints.
Labrīt, paldies liels par lielisku pieteikumu. Sveiciens visiem no Rīgas. Mums ārā tiešām ir lielisks laiks. Daži mākonīši plus 23 grādi. Ārkārtīgi priecīgs esmu, ka esat ielikuši koferis jau savās viesnīcās, un mēs drīz jau sāksim mazu ekskursiju par Rīgu. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you heard a little bit of Latvian language, which probably only 1.5 million people in the world would understand. It's one of the oldest languages still alive, a little bit younger than Lithuanian, because Lithuanian language is the same branch as Latvian, and it's among the 10 oldest languages in the world. And why I started in Latvian, because it's for me much easier to talk in Latvian. My English is not perfect, and sometimes even that's very good, because we have a legend in Riga. Then there was a fisherman who was fishing in the river Daugava, and suddenly he saw an enormously big fish. And fish asked him, "Is Riga ready?" And he said, "No, it's not. There's still a lot of things to do in Riga." And then the fish answered, "Okay, I'll come in a bit, and if the Riga will be ready, I'll just swallow it." So sometimes it's very good not to be perfect, not to be absolutely ready, because then we always have a chance of developing and achieving new goals and do something new in the places that probably before were empty. So I hope that we'll all enjoy these 2 days in Riga, and we've prepared a glimpse of a small, how to say, sightseeing through the Riga, through the pictures, through the music, through the video shots that we have made just recently. And I think we'll start with the music from Latvian composer Artūrs Maskats. And as you mentioned already, as I am conductor, then some of my choir music will be heard today. And so this next slideshow is accompanied by my choir's singing music about Riga, how beautiful it is, how broad and a lot of possibilities. So let's start our tour through Riga with Artūrs Maskats music. The last slide you saw was the Culture Palace VEF. That's the place we are in, but we'll have a tour a little bit later in here as well. And you heard the music that was actually sung in a song celebration with 20,000 singers. That was when Riga celebrated its 800 years anniversary. And you saw also the TV tower probably in between the pictures. And actually that's the tallest building we have in Latvia for sure. And there's an interesting fact that there is the tallest escalator in the world, because usually in these tall buildings you have elevators, but since the basement, the feet are curved, that's why they have escalator. So it's an interesting fact. But as I mentioned, song celebration, 20,000 singers, that we have also a lot of big sporting events in Riga, through which you can see most of the Riga by running, not only by bicycles, but also running. And we have a already wildly known marathon in Riga, which has been held for more than 10 years. And now we'll just see Riga through the organizers' North's eyes. So please, the next video about Riga through the runner's eyes.
Run Riga.
Running in mornings is always a special feeling, especially when you can see your favorite city in the world just barely waking up. It's trying to stretch, it's trying to open its side, its hair is a mess. If you really want to know a person, you want to see that person without makeup. So I advise you to see Riga in the morning. This embankment is a sort of place where any event would like to get its foot at. As soon as you grow bigger, that's pretty much the only place in Riga where you can actually hold an event like a marathon. It is a central place in the city. It's where everything starts and everything ends at the same time. So for a long time, we've had our start and finish line right here. In the beginnings, we were afraid of this place because it was just too big for us. In this place, everything needs to be big. So when you come running here, you seem small because on one side you can see the other side of river, on the other side you can see the old Riga, and it all sort of comes together. That's the spirit of embankment. Yeah, so Teterovskis, which is Teterovskis Island, is pretty much that sort of place which any city could dream of. It's you think Brooklyn Heights and a view to Manhattan, but this is way better because it's Teterovskis Island and view to old city, old Riga. And in the first year, we had runners running right here, which is a nightmare because you could actually break your legs running here. But it's so pretty that we had to include it. Well, these years we still run in Teterovskis Island, but for anybody who is in Riga for business or for pleasure, you just gotta come here. Either run or walk or whatever, but that's the place to be in Riga. Cheers. the first marathon, that's when I did the major mistake in my organizer's life. I ran the marathon myself. But the way I remember it is we were running over the Vanchu bridge, and that's like the typical Riga bridge. And somebody comes to me and taps me on my shoulder and says, "Man, now this is for real." Because before this, the marathon was running on the outskirts of the city, but now this bridge symbolizes that we're right in the center. So now, if you want to really feel the pulse of Riga, you should either walk over Vanchu Bridge or run over Vanchu Bridge, but in any case, we've left this magnificent structure in our course, and it's still a very crucial part of the Riga Marathon course. So enjoy. It's symbolic to finish the race on Elizabeth Street. It is the prettiest street in Riga, and there's a reason why this used to be called Riga Broadway in the 20s and 30s. It's the grandeur, the buildings, everything. People used to come here to show off and look at each other. So now just come down here, enjoy a run. And now we have to run separately, but I can promise you, we'll be back next year with the best Riga Marathon ever. So welcome to Riga.
Meet Riga. meetriga.com.
Yeah, I don't know how about you. I am a culture person for sure, but I do run myself. I actually did run this Riga Marathon once, and it was like an accident because I planned to play a volleyball in the morning, but I couldn't get any to play with me. So because everybody was running in a Riga Marathon, and then I decided, okay, I'll run 5 or whatever, few kilometers. And then when I wanted to register, they said they're only available registration for the whole marathon, 42 kilometers. And so I said, okay, I'll sign in. And then when I decide I don't want to run, I'll just finish it. And then on a 15-kilometer sign, you have a decision. If you go straight, you go 20. If you go right, you go 42. I turned right, and actually I did it once. I don't know whether I'm going to do it again, but I have run my Riga Marathon in my life. And yeah, I think it's a really great possibility to see Riga through. I see a lot of hands. Do I reflect somehow on that, or? It's applause.
It's applause.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not used to applause, you know, for a year. Yeah, not too many concerts going on, so it's always online. Thank you, thank you. I'll vote. Thank you very much, thanks. And you heard the Latvian language at the beginning. I spoke, but we have two main nations in Latvia. Maybe some of you know who are part of Latvians are the main nations in Latvia. And I encourage you during the day, use the chat all the time and be active and ask the questions. Somebody knows? No? No? Yeah? Yes? Okay. It's called leave. It's pretty difficult to translate in English, because if you say Livonian, that we had the Livonian like a country, and it wasn't connected to leave nationality. And Latvian is, as I mentioned, Latvian is a Indo-European branch of languages, and leave language is from Finno-Hungarian branch of languages, which is similar to Estonian and Finnish, and of course Hungarian. And we have not a lot, but finally again rising this leave culture in Riga. We have a lot of heritage in terms of costumes, but the language is not so often spoken in Latvia and Riga. But now we have a lot of young people who are cherishing the leave culture, and here is a perfect example from one of these persons.
I'm bringing you greetings from Latvia's indigenous people, Livonians. We are on a bridge of extinction. Our language is spoken in schools or kindergartens, but our songs and our love is together with Latvian Baltic tribes. here and will be tomorrow. We love our nature. It is our God. And even in city, we can feel its blessings and we sing our soul. And we think about things that indigenous people can give back to everyday's life. Let's be together. Welcome to Latvia. Latvia of songs and love. Hastāvēl tu papēl, Ugavaški stora. Hastāvēl tu papēl, Ugavaški stora. Lasog virgaje māti dar, paģāci zamagas. Lasog virgaje māti dar, paģāci zamagas. Amat kila kiki lola, but mat kiki da balola. Amat kila kiki lola, but mat kiki da balola. Mat kiku moppa pantat, kila neits pakkaut sīza. Mat kiku moppa pantat, kila neits pakkaut sīza.
Yeah, that was in Leave language, and that was Yogi started from a family who have been always about Leave culture through the generations. And I just maybe our Estonian friends, did you understand at least a word of this Leave language? Leonard or somebody, was it like common, some words or not?
It sounded similar, but when singing, it's difficult to understand.
Yeah, that's true. That's spoken language and sung language always sound a little bit different. And of course, Latvian language also have a lot of influence from Leave language. For example, since we are now in the almost midsummer time, when the sun is turning to the winter again, although it's hard to imagine that the days will get shorter and the nights will get longer in a few weeks already. But for example, we have midsummer events, we call it Jāņi or Līgo, and the word itself, Līgo, is from Leave language, and it actually means let it be. So something has been, the place has been empty, but now it's full of happenings and joyous events. So now we'll do a small tour through the northern part of Riga. And why it's important, because there we have also our song celebration open air facility metropoles that you saw probably already, and you'll see even more. But the most important thing is that it's absolutely new, and the first performance of the new Mežaparka Estrāde probably will be this year, depends on a situation. If not, then maybe later on, but the song celebration next is in 2023. So please check in your planners. 2023, beginning of July, from 1st until the 9th of July will be the song celebration in Latvia. And this is an amazing event. You just have to come to Riga. And now let's see what's going on in a northern part of Riga, and you'll see 3 beautiful culture centers that are renovated or newly built. And it's a very, very important thing in terms of infrastructure and culture decentralization, because it's in the northern part of the Riga. Please, let's see what's going on there.
An unusual neighborhood. The industrial is in...
We'll start from the top. We'll start from the top with the sound. Sorry.
We invite you to a short trip around the northern district of Riga. It covers an area of many square kilometers. This is an unusual neighborhood. The industrial is intertwined with the beauty of nature and a modern, with history. There are several places here that are very important in the cultural life of Riga and the whole Latvia. And our first stop is located on the main street of the city, very close to the center of Riga.
This is industrial neighborhood, and you can see the culture palace SVEF here, and that was built 60 years ago for the employees of the famous factory of those years. And now this is an interesting neighborhood because in all this movement mostly involved not people who live here, but companies and all workers who work here. Culture Palace SVEF had a reconstruction 4 years ago, and restarting our activities, we put a huge emphasis on a professional art, and we have 44 amateur groups of all generations. But then, of course, when all this pandemic started, we became virtual, digital, and this spring we had some very creative and environmental projects like video on our columns, sprouting spring, and later one of the installations, environmental installations called the Culture Waiting Stop, where everybody could come, sit and listen to the music of our cycles, these records, and perform by themselves. And with the Refresh movement, we have a new project when we bring the history outside the premises, making digital expositions in this whole neighborhood.
And now let's get closer to the waters. Here between ships, industrial zones and apartment houses is one of the oldest cultural centers in Latvia.
Culture Palace Ziemeļblāzma, or in English Northern Light or Aurora, was built more than 100 years ago by woodworker, businessman and patron August Dombrovskis. And his idea was bring the light for people, and not only for people who are living in this corner of Riga, because we are located far, far away from city center in northern corner of Riga, but bring the light for all people in Riga and all people in Latvia. And as you see, more than 100 years later, it works. It really works. During the pandemic, we bring the culture out from palace to our park. Since end of November, we have organized in our park more than 25 events, exhibitions, happenings, games. And I think that we must find a way how to exist in this time. And I think we found. We always work together with local people or domestic people, local organizations, societies, because we need a dialogue between us and people who are living here. For example, we have realized a wonderful project together with our library. It was called Vaccine for Better Day. We just bring the books outside from library to our park. We bring quotes to our park together with installations from paper, and we find a new way how book can live in pandemic times. We also are working together with other institutions of culture in Riga, and it's always nice create great ideas together and as I say, bring the light for people. It's my mission, and I think it's a mission of culture in Riga, in every corner of our city.
Now let's go a little further. This is Mežaparks, a place that every inhabitant of Latvia associate with a song.
Dziedot dzimu, dziedot augu, aia, dziedot augu, dziedot mūžu nodzīvoj.
Now we are in a Mežaparka Liela Estrāde. It's an open air stage, Mežaparks. And this is a very important place for all the Latvians because every 5 years we have here a song celebration, the closing gala concert, where you can imagine about 20,000 singers on a stage. And it's not like a festival, it is really song celebration because we sing a common repertoire that we are preparing for more than 3 years. And in audience we have about 40,000 listeners, and all the participants of the celebration, all the dancers that we have in numbers, about 20,000 as well as singers, and they're all around this open air stage. In 2023, this will be this particular stage first performance because it's newly built, and then we'll celebrate our song celebration 150 years anniversary. And Riga is one of the biggest players in song celebration because it gives more than 300 amateur groups which are actively participating in preparing for this song celebration, as well as approximately 13,000 participants. And they are not only just singing, dancing, or participating in folk groups, they are very active in art schools that are very common in Riga, and they draw, they become an artist, they become a professional orchestra players, and it's all within culture responsibility of Riga city. Of course, the last year and the beginning of this year is very challenging for all of us, but I think that we can overcome this problem. Now we only have to put together all our efforts and become as one again. And I hope that this summer will give us this possibility. And this year, two of our most famous choir conductors will celebrate their 200 years anniversary, 100 years each, Gido and Imants Kokars. And Gido Kokars always said that song celebration, it is like a vaccine of national pride for 5 years. And I think that we really are vaccinated with this national heritage and with this national culture pride, all of us here in Riga and in Latvia.
Daudzas balsis, daudzas balsis, daudzas balsis, daudzas balsis, domā viena, tautu tuvu garam man.
Yeah, this is a part of northern Riga, and I'm looking at the time, and we are almost like running out of it. And I know that there are some questions before the break, and probably we could talk about it now. And you saw that was my choir singing after a very big break. So I'm happy that we still sound like a choir, not like just a bunch of individuals. So it's really challenging, but so far so good. So far so good. So maybe the questions.